You'll see a live thing here. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Hangout podcast. We are on, can you believe it, like season 3, episode, I think it's 12 or 13. And I am here with a gal that's in my area in Virginia, Leslie Kane, and she has the Why Not Today podcast. And I'm really, really super excited to have another podcaster on with us. And we're going to learn so much. We're going to have so much fun. So Leslie, say hey to everybody and give us some background on you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor to always be on another podcast. But yes, I'm in the Northern Virginia area. I have been building one successful business for 30 years as a sales director with Mary Kay, and that is still active. But then I had what I call my why not today moment, when that thing that happens is the pivotal moment in your life and everything changes. So I was walking with a friend during COVID, and I said, I might want to do a podcast. And she's like, you should. No idea what I wanted to do. And then fast forward a couple months later, and my podcast is actually in honor of my father who passed away in 2013. But he had an eye patch on a handlebar mustache. So he signed everything with what we come to find out started calling Flat Pat. And so somebody posted something on social media that he had some surgery and had to have eye surgery. And he thought of his old friend Pat Kane every time he looked at himself with an eye patch on, and talked about all the things my dad did, and then said, and we both said, why not today? And that just stuck. I'm like, it's such a good phrase. So I told my friend that, and she's like, well, that's the name of your podcast. You need to start. So very similar track as you. We've been 3 years, and I think we're like 30 some episodes. But I started on March 5th, 2022, which happened to be the day my dad was born and the day he passed away. And so I'm one of these people that just give me a deadline and I'll make it work. And so started the podcast again, not having any idea where it would take me, until last December. I had so many people in the pipeline that I decided, and instead of every other week, we're going to go to every week. And I interview people who have done courageous things. So I really started with you were breathing, you got on the podcast. Now I've been a little more selective. I did start an LLC in January in tying in with this. And really my passion is to have a movement. Kind of like Life is Good, those t-shirts.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Today, and to really be able to inspire people to live their life with courage and pursue their dreams. I mean, there's so many people that are miserable. So I've just got a passion for helping people. And so it's grown into a business. I now have events to build community and connection. I've done a course. I've done a mastermind, coaching.
Nice.
So all the things. And of course we have Why Not Today merch to spread the word. So
awesome. We have loads to talk about. I love it. I love it. So clearly, we know each other through our Facebook communities. And I'm a very big encourager. Like if you're a negative Nelly, I'm not even going to probably have coffee with you if you can't get out of that headspace, right?
I even go further than that. I feel people's energy.
Oh, yeah.
I pay attention. And like I interview people ahead of time to be on my podcast now. And there's a couple people that are not going to be on my podcast just from the first 30 seconds on Zoom. I'm like, yep, nope.
Yeah. And so I do a 15-minute pre-call for most people. I didn't with you because we had already talked, talked and we had already conversed. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, there's she's going to do this or that, or I'm not going to know what she's going to say or do or whatever. Right.
And there's some people automatically get on mine when you feel the energy. So you don't feel like you have to do that.
That's cool. So no, it's great. And, people always ask me, hey, Kiley, why the podcast? Right. And so actually now this is our third year. And if I really looked at it, we started it during COVID. So it's probably actually my 4th year really, but, and we've done it weekly. I started this doing it in an actual studio, or I brought the studio to you. I've done podcasts at, the golf place, and I've done places at the wineries. I've done 2 or 3 different location kind of things, which is like at Top Golf and stuff like that. So I put a lot of effort into it. So when I did that, I wanted to be sure that the people that were talking to that they were entertaining, that there was value,
Right. And
So I'm
your
gonna.
podcast is your baby. We got to protect
It
it.
is.
Got our
It
name
is.
on it.
It is. But so, Leslie, what have you learned about people during through your podcast? What have you learned about the people that you're trying to interview? What's your core value message?
So we talk about courage in all my episodes, and I ask people what their courage quote would be or what their definition of courage is. So I've heard people's courage, but I've really found in interviewing people that everybody has a story behind the story.
Mhm.
And there's several why not today moments, which I've kind of targeted now or paying attention to. And that thing that happened in their life, that bad thing or just that thing that happened, that they remember where they were, what they were doing, and it took them into a total another direction. And our journey, where we start and where we finish, are completely different. And most people have had no idea where it would take them when they started, but they just, couldn't sleep at night, got out of bed, and just started a business or started a nonprofit or quit their job or all the different things. But it was just that pivotal moment that enough is enough, and why not today?
Mm-hmm. I like it. So something monumental, something like, I'm going to say, the aha moment,
Mm-hmm.
and you've taken that and turned it into the why not today.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, what is one of the things that you've learned in this business? Because it's still, you've turned it into a business from a passion, and I love that. I love that. Tell my listeners a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I've learned we just got to follow our gut and instinct and just be open to the next thing. And you just, as I said, you never know. And pay attention. I actually did a podcast episode. I just talked to myself on the Why Not Today scavenger hunt. Like the people that are in your path. And part of the thing I talk about when I interview people is our connections. Like, where did we meet? How are we connected?
Yes.
And, I looked at our Facebook friends and, I could say, okay, I know this, but then there's always those outliers. And I am so sorry. Hold on.
Don't worry.
Sorry, there's workers outside my window.
Don't worry.
But it's now I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about the outliers, like connecting
Oh
with
yeah,
people
and
on
then you meet
Facebook.
those
Yeah.
people like, how the heck do you know that person? And it's kind of crazy. And so there was one person I interviewed that I found her on Facebook, I guess. She wrote a book and she was from Texas. And I interviewed her. And before the interview, we were talking and she's like, oh, my sister-in-law lives in Reston. And Reston's a pretty big place.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know her? And she told me the name. I'm like, yeah. Is she a dentist? She's like, she is. And it's my parents' dentist. And my dad actually went to the dentist and saw her the day he passed away. That dentist, which I didn't even see him the day he passed away. And so I was like, I said, like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And she said, when you're living your life in accordance to your values and what you should be doing, those things will show up. Or you got to be paying it. You got to be looking for them. I met with somebody for coffee the other day. And by the end of the time, I'm just like, I'm not surprised. I mean, these crazy connections of like how people, like how the heck, we were talking about one person and we're both telling a story and we're talking about the same person that's nowhere near here, so, it's just been cool just to see where God's taking this and just following that path and, being open, like, we were trying to connect and it fell through the cracks a couple times. And then I try not to be on Facebook in the morning, but I happened to be just on there yesterday for maybe 2 minutes. And I saw your post. I'm looking for somebody. I'm like, for a guest. I'm like, I could make this work. Cause I've been in that situation where I've had guests cancel the last minute. And it's like,
well, exactly. Things happen.
Yeah.
And, it's like, again, everything happens for reasons, right? It's like, be positive and it's going to be, you're going to just be presented with whatever is going to be the greatest thing ever. Right. And so now tell me, I think because there could be some, we could turn this into, like there could be some people that are thinking about, hey, I'd like to start a podcast, but I don't know how. or what would be the reason? And so I want to hear a little bit about what do you, and then I'll tell you my reasoning, my purpose behind what I do with my podcast. But what's your purpose about your podcast? How do you use it in your business and marketing? And what's the bigger why, the bigger what are you going to do with it?
Right, which is interesting you asked that, because I just listened to another podcast talking about podcasts, and one of the things is, I had to figure this out, asking one person at a time and just figuring it out. So I've had several people think I might want to do a podcast. So I've put together a course to help people in starting a podcast and teaching people how to do it. But really, I think what I found is it is content, it is media that lasts forever.
Yes.
And so just like if you were on NBC News, you don't know who's going to listen to this. Do I have it on? Yeah. I always wear a starfish necklace. And the reason being is, do you know the story of the starfish?
I'd love for you to tell me it.
Okay. So this guy was walking down the beach throwing starfish in the ocean, and this man walked up and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm saving the starfish." He's like, "There's thousands here. How could you possibly make a difference?" And he picked one up and threw it in the ocean and said, "I made a difference with that one." And so you never know who is listening and who is paying attention. I had somebody one day I met, she's like, "Oh, you're the one with the podcast. Your sister told me about it. And I listened to it to and from my hour-long commute every day and had the courage to quit my job." So you know what?
That's awesome.
Yeah. If I can give people permission and hope with the podcast, that is one of my biggest things. But also it helps me to get people to get to know me and my authenticness and what I do, and be able to then turn that into being able to support them with business. So my podcast has evolved to, people sharing not just their stories and their aha moments or their why not say moments, but also giving people permission, hope, and some tools to do things themselves. So really, as I said, like my bigger vision for this is that it becomes a movement, that we're giving people courage. And I often have people quote back "Why Not Today" to me. Somebody, I was talking about doing something before the end of the year. She's like, "I'm going to put a "Why Not Today" sticker on it so you remember to do it."
That's funny. That's great. I love it. I love it.
And it's been fun, and we get introduced to amazing people that you might not ever have access to.
Yeah, the thing of it is so when I have the Entrepreneurs Hangout, which is a community, it's a group. I meet, monthly on Wednesdays, and I try to do teaching and training. It's not just me; it's various different things. And then I thought, and this was actually during COVID, which is like, oh, all right, we're not going to be able to meet or whatever, so I'm just going to start the Entrepreneurs Hangout podcast. So everything I do is branded the Entrepreneurs Hangout because I love working with entrepreneurs. I do coaching. I do a couple of different programs, but my whole gift and my whole really what I want to achieve is giving people the courage to not think of, I'm not going to be successful, so I can't do this, right? It's where yours is "Why Not Today?" Mine is, let me show you how you can be successful. Don't worry. Take my hand. Let's jump off the cliff together and let's figure this out. And I do it through my own journeys. I'm a military brat. I am the school of hard knocks. God gave me babies early because he knew I wouldn't sit still long enough when it was actually time. And I just jump in. I don't know. I figure it out. And not every day is rainbows and sunshine. We both, you've got bad days, good days, whatever. But what do we do, Leslie? What do you do? What do you say? Why not today? And you help others encouraged to think the same thing.
And it's not even an option to quit. They hear the statistics about people starting businesses. And, I've had another business, as I said, 30 years and never thought about quitting. And with this, I made an LLC January 1st. And I was on a call earlier and they're like, "What's the goal you achieved?" I'm like, "I made it through a year." And there's no there's no thought of ever closing the doors and stopping.
Right.
It's just, okay, you just got to figure it out. And as I said, just, you never know where it's going to take you. And I think I'm very much like you. I have an idea and I jump and I just do it. And then I'm like, oh, let's see. I heard something the other day to call them experiments. Like, we're going to experiment and see if this works.
Yeah. And here's the deal. It's, some people, so there's this whole aim, ready, fire, right? I don't do
Right.
that. I just fire and I can
Me
aim
too.
later and I'm like, whatever is going to happen, something's going to get hit. Right. So that's
Somebody,
what my,
I was doing a retreat with somebody and she asked, like, do you figure it all out and then set a date, or set a date and then figure it all out? I'm like, oh, I set a date and figure it all out.
right,
Somebody the
right.
other day, and this is my new mantra, it's like, I don't procrastinate. I am deadline driven.
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
has to be done tomorrow. Do it today.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, the thing of it is too, a lot of people make it complicated and they get overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
So with my business in a box, I help people like start businesses. And if you have an existing business and you're stuck, you can scale and grow. So that's the two that I'm helping. I just, one of my my heart's desires is to be able to get my program into every single prison.
I heard that.
Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, I'm really desperately looking for anybody that can help me out where it's just making introductions into
So,
anybody that's the Department of Corrections.
well, I don't know if this would be a good connection, but I have a good friend of mine who leads like a Bible study in a prison in
Oh,
Leesburg every week.
well, I would love it. I love it. I'm part of Kairos Women's Prison Ministry. That's why I came up with my aha moment of like, wait a second here. If anybody needs business in a box, it's this
Right.
community.
And anybody can
Because
start a business now so easily.
correct. Yep. It's easy in the sense of you can start the business, but you have to do the hard work. And so I guarantee my program. If you're willing to put the effort in and do the program, I'll guarantee it. And
Well, what
we were
I've
just
found is I didn't know what I didn't know because I've
yeah, yeah,
had a business,
exactly.
but because it's a direct selling business, Mary Kay did all of it for me. And so there's a lot of things I've had to figure out. I'm like, oh, this is harder than I thought.
But having somebody to bounce past things is exactly what we need. And that
Right.
we're there to help people and we help them. And I have a suspicion that you do as well. You help them from your own mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I do coaching and courses around helping people, but then my luncheon, I have a luncheon and I started I call them all Why Not Say Connect. I have a Connect and Sip, which is a morning tea. And it's literally like my luncheon, nobody's allowed to give an elevator speech. I want people to get to know each other at a different level.
Mm-hmm.
And then the
Yeah.
tea, we literally, it's an intimate group, smaller group, and we go around the room, introduce ourselves. And one thing, we need support because owning a business is lonely and you don't have those people to bounce ideas off. So having people that are totally different businesses to be able to say, oh, I learned this. Or I was talking to somebody today about merchandise. She's like, oh, I have the best source. And I have a really good source that I'll share with you when we're done on video content too that I've
Oh,
learned.
that's awesome. No, that's awesome. The thing of it is it is about, so I do weekly through the BIB programs and stuff like that. We do actual workshops and coaching training every Tuesday at 4:00. And it's like this. I like group in that manner because you can learn from each other. And it's a really comfortable group, which is like, hey, Leslie, I learned so much from what you shared with me and I was going through these mistakes. But if you don't have the time to talk to people about these mistakes, those mistakes that you made, you're just going to stay stuck. You're going to waste money and
Right.
time because you don't have anybody to talk to.
Right. And I'm actually the whole world of people going back to work, virtual working. There's a big issue. They're doing studies on it that people, especially younger people going to work, when I was working, which was a long time ago, but you would walk by your coworker's office or the whole office cooler conversation. You talk to somebody while you're getting your coffee and you're like, oh, I have this problem or this issue. Now what's happening is the younger people don't have access to the knowledge and the wisdom and the sharing. And so they're spending a lot of time and money trying to figure it out on their own before they go to somebody.
That's a really good analogy and lesson.
Yeah.
It's I'm gonna back flash here just a few minutes, which is my son, one of my sons. I'm very proud of all my kids, but my one son is a captain on the fire department. And it could have even been 10 or 12 years ago. What happened in Arizona, there were so many of the seniors, the captains that were like timing out. They've already been there 50 years, 60 years, whatever it is. And so they were leaving. And it left this whole big gap of
Right.
these newbies, not even newbies, because my son was not a newbie, but how you don't just start being a captain. You've got to have that experience, and you
And you
have to
learn on the
learn,
job.
right? And
You
you
don't
learn
learn
from
in a
other
book.
captains. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing. That's a good analogy. Yeah. I
And
like
then I
that.
think, as business owners, we need to make time to meet somebody for coffee, even if it's a completely different business. Because I don't know about you, but when you meet with somebody, even virtually, it gives you
Mhm.
energy. Like I
Yeah.
hosted my luncheon today, and honestly, right before this, I could take a nap. I'm just
Yeah.
like, hopefully, I'll perk up. But just in talking with you for how long we've been talking, I'm like energized and motivated now. So, we
Yeah.
feed off each other's energy. So pay attention to that and get in front of other people, other business owners, other people that are excited and have
Yeah.
energy.
And on top of that, it's like I don't allow myself to be around negative people. If they are, I very much distance myself from them. Not to say that, you can't, you've got friends that do this or that or whatever, but negative energy, I just don't feed off of and I don't like it. So I'm like, I flip the switch and I'm like, I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have it.
Negative energy, and then also one thing I run from fast is that clicky energy. Like when
Yeah.
people start jumping in a clique and excluding someone. I had somebody
Yeah.
recently that got upset with me because she was having issues with one person, and I posted a picture on social media of me and this person, and she got mad at me because I posted a picture with this person that she wasn't getting along with. I'm like, you know what? She's still a friend of mine. Just because you guys don't get along doesn't mean I
Right.
can't. So
And
yeah,
are we in that grade again? Are we like in
exactly.
kindergarten or high school? I mean, like honestly,
Yeah,
I don't try to disclude anybody. I'm like, that's not the person I am. I'm like, include everybody, make them feel welcomed
right.
because that's the same sense of as bullying or trying to
Yeah,
disclude. But are you trying to make somebody purposely feel bad? No, I'm sorry. That's not me. My life is
yeah.
too short. I want to make
We were
everybody
always
uplift them.
right. We were always a family, although there's 6 of us kids in my family. We were always a family that anybody that didn't have somewhere to go got included. You never
Oh,
excluded
yeah.
anybody. Like, I think my parents tell a story of they had a dinner party one time and an extra person came, so my parents just switched seats. Like, neither of them sat down at the same time, so nobody
Yeah,
really realized they were short one seat.
that's fun. That's actually funny. So I came from a very hectic, chaotic military family. 6 real brothers and sisters, 4 fosters. So
Oh
I
wow!
had literally cousin brothers, and I had crazy aunt that dropped their kid off, and like maybe they came back after a week, a day, a year, or never came back. That's how they become cousin
Wow!
brothers, right? So the point is, in my family, there was always space for more. My
Yeah,
mom just, I don't know how she just made more. It just,
exactly.
God was there and just, he just multiplied it. But I love your story about the dinner party because that's actually quite funny. I love that.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we didn't have enough seats, so we just kept bouncing back and forth. But you have to include people and invite people, and you just never know, like the starfish thing, you just never know who that person is that you're gonna
Yes.
meet that is gonna be your pivotal why not today person that's gonna
Yeah.
totally change your life. Or you're gonna change theirs. You don't realize how many people are watching us.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, I'm not doing anything, nobody's paying attention. And then you meet that person that's like, you made a difference in my life.
Right, right. It's like social media has been really great for our communities and for us and for our, what we do, right? Because
Right.
we're relying on people and I get a lot of referrals, which is I need somebody and it's, hey, Kylie, can you help out? So I always just like, listen, um, I don't know that I'm a good fit for you yet until we have a conversation, whether I can help you or not. And but my point is I'm always there to then assist and guide and help. I always want to give value where
Right.
sometimes it's too value. Sometimes I've given so much value, they don't need to hire me. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
why did I do that? I've given them all the answers. But I want to give. That's what
Yeah.
I like to be able to do. I like to be able to help people get unstuck, start a business. What did I do wrong? All of those things. How to
I
get
was
on
on
Why Not Today's podcast.
exactly. Well, I was on a call with somebody yesterday, a potential guest, and after talking, he's like, "Okay, you're all about community and sharing and giving back." I'm like, "Yes." Like let's all give back. And there's enough business, there's enough everything. And, I'm the opposite of you. I grew up in Reston and have lived here since I was 2. So I know everybody here. I did not bounce around. So when I meet somebody that just moved here for the first time, I'm like, you're the best person. I'm the best person you've ever met, because I can tell you, whatever you need. I had a boss that actually gave me a bad review because he's like, you have too many personal phone calls. I'm like, no, I just know all my vendors, I became friends with people.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a joke. It was an FOK in my office. It was a friend of Kane's. Like, I just know people. And, I'm going to connect you, because it's fun to be able to help people.
But that is your absolute wonderful sweet spot, which is like, I'm a connector. I'm like, and that's part of why we like to help people. Like, listen, let me help you be successful right now. Let's get you connected. Yeah. All right, you guys, I'm going to wrap this up, but you're going to have all of the show notes. You're going to know exactly how to connect with Leslie. And for goodness sakes, if you need somebody in Reston, this is your gal. So I love, love, love what you're offering, Leslie. I love your spirit. And I am so, so grateful that this was happening.
And thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on your podcast.
You got it. We'll put a link to your podcast so people can listen to it. And also, if they're interested in being a guest, that'll help out as well. So I'm going to say bye for now. Guess what, everybody? You remember, same time, same place. Although today was one day late because of yesterday. Always on a Wednesday, 3 Eastern. And if you're looking to be a guest on my show, please message me and we'll give you all of Leslie's details so that you can hear all about it. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.